Ah, yes, gather round, gather round. Today, Dan will show you how to make a little garment for the character in S&box, a game currently being developed by Facepunch. I do hope you enjoy.
S&box, a project in development by Facepunch Studios. Recently joining there, I'm making outfits for the current player model. So pretty much I make this lovely bean all dressed up and ready for school. This video, I'm going to talk you through how we actually make these outfits for this lovely cheeky boy.
Cheeky.
So for anyone interested in making outfits for the game modes or levels, this should hopefully point you in the right direction. I'll be making a simple shirt. I'll show you how I made it from Highpoly and ZBrush, Lowpoly and Maya, texturing in Substance Painter, and integration into S&box. This video should also be an intro for modelling of outfits for any new 3D artists, and hopefully you can take this knowledge into your future projects.
The Highpoly Stage.
So, we've got our reference, a V-neck t-shirt. Always important to make sure you have a reference or concept board so you have something close to follow while you work. PureRef is a great free software which lets you actually create these super easily, so check it out. So there's a few ways we can approach the Highpoly. I can use Marvelous Designer to simulate the shirt, meaning I won't actually need to sculpt any major folds, which is always a plus if you're not used to sculpting folds or wrinkles. Although if Marvelous Designer is not readily available, there is a simple and easy approach to creating something like a shirt in ZBrush, following these steps.
But what if I don't have ZBrush, mate?
Ah, well that's good you asked, because this tutorial, although using specific software, the fundamental advice and techniques used in this video can be followed along with most other 3D software, i.e. Blender. Alright, so import the Citizen model into your scene, and we're going to subdivide the model a few times till it's nice and smooth for us to paint on a clean mask. So what we'll do now is we'll now mask the area we want the shirt to be shaped like. So you'll see here I'm creating that V shape in the collar. I'd say it's important to try and make the mask as clean as possible without too many rough edges. Extract that masked area, which in ZBrush you can do with the extract tool. I believe there is also an extract tool in Blender. And we want to keep the thickness to 0 and one-sided flat geometry. So you'll see here after we've extracted the mask, you can see the edges are quite jagged. So a really quick, easy way to fix that is by using the clay polish and then the Z-remesh tool. Using that just a few times, you'll get nice clean topology like this. What we're going to do now is break up the shirt into pieces by cutting and separating areas of the mesh. This will help us when we want to create the seams in the clothing. A good way of knowing where you want to make those cuts in the geometries by looking at the clothing of reference and working out which parts are separate cloth pieces. And with the help of the new clean topology, I'm able to separate the back, the front, the collar, the ends of the sleeves and the sleeves themselves into separate geometry. Now the pieces are separated, we can now extrude and inflate the model till we are happy with the size. I recommend something thicker than usual clothing, just so it sits a bit better on the top of the base cartoony model. And with the use of bevel and just a quick subdivide, we're able to get very nice clean edges to all of our clothing pieces. Now, this is really important. We want to overlap the separate pieces around the seam areas. This is really important, and the reason we actually separated the model into separate pieces, because people keep using this carve tool or a damn standard brush to create the idea of seams in clothing, but it looks poo-poo. It just looks poo-poo. And hey, even if you didn't listen to me when we were talking about the separating of the model, no worries. You can just mask the area and then using the move tool, move the area over the masked area to create the effect of overlapping geo. Alright, so after that we can just do little cleanups, move things around, just make things feel a bit more natural, a bit more even in areas. And now we can move on to the sculpting. Okay, so when doing sculpting of wrinkles, it's really important you do have reference on hand. So with this picture here, you can see most of the wrinkles are happening in the armpit area. It's always best to consider where you're going to be moving the most. So your body is going to be moving up and down when you move your arms. So a lot of the wrinkles are going to happen in the armpit and the shoulders. All right, I'm just going to let this run for a bit. So you can see here, obviously from following the reference, I'm getting in those folds in the armpit area and getting the drapery around the sides, like in the picture. I'm also adding just a few vertical lines on the chest and back. Just small touches, you don't have to go too overboard with these areas. I'd say the main focus is on the armpits. Now for some material details. First, we'll add some memory folds. All you need to do for that is use a damn standard brush, create one line going inwards and one going outwards with a crisscross with each other. I'm not really sure why it works, but it just does. So adding these pretty much anywhere on the clothing will give the clothing a more worn feeling, which always looks nice. Then, just to top it off, get the standard brush again and set it to spray. Set the strength very, very low and pepper a bunch of these little bobbles everywhere. This really helps break up any clean areas that make it look too perfect and modelled. That kind of gamey feeling. So yeah, that will make it look a lot more real. So now I'm just showing off a little before and after. So here's with all the details we've added. Here's taking off the standard bobbles. And here's taking off all the memory folds. Looks pretty good, hey?
The Lowpoly Stage.
I don't think it'll be worth going through teaching retopology in this video, but it's something I want to do later on. But for now, I'll give some good pointers for your low poly. Matching the edge loops of the Citizen model is really, really important, as this will make sure that when it's skinned and rigged, it will deform correctly. Here's an example of bad topology that doesn't follow the same density of polys as the Citizen model. See how it's clipping? Alright, I've tried to record this like 3 times. I'm just trying to freeball it because I don't want to write a script for this part because it's kind of hard to explain in detail. And I'm just kind of freeballing it, okay? So, we're going to UV the model. So what I'm doing first is I'm just cutting out the appropriate areas. So I'm grabbing the arms. Yeah, so that's nice and cut. Yes, very good, Daniel. Take your time, it's fine. Yep, speeding up now so you can see, cutting out that area. In the UV area, yep, cutting out that part as well. Yum, yum. So pretty much we want about 4 different panels, the front, the back, the arms. Also I'm cutting in the inside area. So it can be separate UVs. Very lovely. I am planning to do a video in the future as well, going into detail about UVs, because UVs are fun. People hate UVs, but I like UVs. Alright, so a little trick I've learned in my character career is about making sure that your UV islands are nice and straight and very lovely. This helps a lot when you're trying to pack UVs more effectively. So what you can see I'm doing here is I got an area, I then pulled it inwards so then it was perfectly straight, and then selecting everything but that area, and I'm unfolding and using the, what's the name of the tool? Unfold and Optimize tool. See, you can see I'm doing it on the sides as well. This is the front panel of the clothing, and then see, I'm selecting everything but that area I just straightened out, so then it's all nice and uniform. You can see how I'm doing this again on the arms. Get that nice and straight. This also just helps. It just helps with packing things together. Also for when you're actually texturing, when you're putting on a tileable weave texture for clothing, it will look a lot nicer. And it will morph a lot better with the clothing. Now we can see what we're going to do now is we're going to get this all nice and packed into the UV space. It's not too perfect, but I hope this shows what I am doing. It's fine to stretch out your models a bit as well, so you can fit as much space as possible. See here, yeah, nice lad, yes, very good. Oh, look at that, lovely. I don't know what to say. But I hope this is helpful. Yeah, so also these areas here, these little circular areas where I've just filled the gaps of the model. Don't worry about the size of them. You can have them pretty low sized because you're not really going to see them, but it's just good to have. So yeah, you can proper make those small. Yeah, there we go. Lovely.
The texturing stage.
Alright, okay, let's texture. So, Go to Bake Mesh Maps. Just delete that. And then we'll go to the high definition map. We'll go here. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the high poly. Let's put that in. So let's bake out that selected texture. Sorry, I've got a can of energy drink. So, I'm going to teach you how to make really, really nice and easy clothing textures. Pretty easy to follow along. So here we go. Fill layer. Let's just call that base. Very nice. Color. Yeah, we'll keep that. Roughness all the way down. Okay. We are going to go for a... yeah, sure. I like a purple. I like that. That's nice. Now, fill layer again. I'm going to right click on it. Go to add bitmap mask. And we are going to look up weave. And it's called weave 2. Let's grab that. Go on, there we go. So let's just make a bit further. Yeah, put that down the scale a bit. There you go. So that tiles nicely. Looks pretty nice. All right. What we're going to do? Right click on the mask. This is the mask. We're going to go to filter. And we're going to go here. And we're going to type in warp. So let's get warp. There we go. So you can see that's already adding kind of a displacement. And let's go for a slightly lighter purple. Yeah, like that. Sure. Now we're going to turn on height. And we're just going to pick that up just a teeny bit. Nothing crazy. Bit of roughness. Let's just turn up that roughness. Or turn it down so it's a lot more shinier compared to the base color. We're going to go here. Add a fill layer again. Bitmap mask. And we're going to type in spots. So now we're going to add the little tufts of little hairs and imperfections that you find on clothing. And this goes a long way. And it definitely makes your clothing that you're texturing look a lot more real. Sure. Let's scale this in a bit. What we can do, if you go down to the noise parameters, you can mess with the disorder, the scale, so you can get it to exactly what you want. And let's go back to the color. So that's it on the mask. Let's go back to the actual color itself. Let's just leave it with just color for now. And we're going to go for an even lighter purple. So let's do something like that. Yes. All right, got that. Turn on height. And let's just turn it up a bit so you get those bumps. Now we've done that. Let's new layer, new fill layer, bitmap again. We're going to look up scratches. Here we go. So we want, I believe it's this one, yes. So grunge, scratches rough. And again, scale it in. Just mess around with it. Just mess around with it until you get something that you like. Let's go with a slightly kind of off blue, just so there's a bit of difference in color. And now we got that. Let's do fill layer again, add bitmap mask, and we are going to type in curvature, or just curve. And you'll see here now, you'll have something that is the baked out curvature map that you got from your baking that we did at the start of the video. So let's grab that. We'll go right click on the fill layer, go to levels. What we can do, and pull that in. Let's say again, messing around with it a bit till we get something. Yeah, looks pretty good. Let's go to color, just color. Also, I don't know if anyone needs to know this in Substance. Let's say you have all these things selected and you don't want to go trying to take them all off. If you hold down Alt and then left click, it will make sure that the only thing that is selected is a color. So I can be like, and then if you want them back, you just hold Alt, left click again. Now let's go to purple. Let's do a very light purple like that. Maybe a bit more grayish. Very lovely. See, we have a lovely purple shirt. Let's do one more. We're gonna go here, add bitmap mask again. Let's type in ambient occlusion, or just ambient. And you'll see there's another baked out texture. So we'll put it on. You go to here. See this, the actual logo or the thumbnail of the mask. Right click and go to invert mask. And we want to actually make it dark. So again, Alt, left click on color. Let's set this nice and low like this. Maybe a bit purple. Without, with. See how it's giving that kind of a it's kind of darkening the crevices just a bit more. A bit stylized, but I think it goes a long way to make it pop out. So we can do now, fill layer again. Let's say, yeah, let's go to add black mask. But what I'm doing here is I'm going to create kind of a gradient on the clothing. The reason I do this is because I feel like when you just have flat color, especially on clothing, it can look a bit boring. Go to color, and we'll go for like maybe just look a dark purple like that, right? Mess with the opacity just a bit, set it to like that, right? And then we can go back in here, erase a few things, till we get this kind of nice gradient. See how that's added that, just that little bit of gradient, bit of difference in color. Goes a long way. Okay, so one last thing I will show, which is really good, is how to do a bit of dirt, because I think dirt is very important. So let's go over to here, the alphas section of Substance Painter, just down here. We're going to scroll down a bit until we find something a bit goofy, like the drop splat. So let's try putting that on. Oh, nice. Let's actually not do white. I think that's a bad color to use. Let's do not brown as well. I think that's a bit on the nose. What we're doing here is we're doing the kind of adding and taking away effect, which really sells things. Go back again. Let's do a black mask. Let's do your dirt spot. This one here. Go. Oh no, he got one of those. He has to not do white. I don't think white's a good color to use. Let's do like a yeah, sure. Don't know what that is, but he's got orange on him. He's like, oh no, I got orange on me. and he's had to wipe that off as well, right? So, alright, yeah, okay. This looks pretty cool. Again, fill layer, bitmap mask. And if we get the curvature again, put that on. Maybe we can even invert it like we did with the ambient occlusion. Go to the levels that will then be created when you do that. And again, it's just a case of messing around with stuff, you know, just pick things up, put things back until you get something. Oh, I like that. It's creating that kind of even added more ambient occlusion. Go here, just color, darken that. It's nice and dark. Or after, just that. Yeah, I like that. Like how it's just slightly adding a bit more shadow in the albedo. There you go. You have a shirt. That's a shirt. Isn't that cool? You've actually done it. I mean, I've done it, but you're gonna do it as well, right? See, that's not hard. That was pretty easy. You'd agree that was pretty easy, right? Yeah.
It is time for the end of the tutorial.
One last step. Pretty cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to SteamLibrary, SteamApps, Common, Sandbox, and we're gonna go over to Addons, Citizen, and we're gonna go to Models, and we're gonna go to Citizen. We're gonna get this FBX here, so click on that, and we're gonna drag it into our scene, okay? So in this case, I'm using Maya, so you can see here, it is now in the scene. And if you're using Maya, I just want you to see that usually sometimes it will look like this when you load it in. So a good way of fixing that is just go to shading and turn on the X-ray joints so you can see them. You can see obviously this is moving. So if I move that, but the V-neck is not moving. So what we need to do is we need to pair this with the rig. So what we'll do is we'll get the V-neck in the outliner. To get to the outliner, if you don't have it, so let's say if I just close it really quickly, close it completely. So let's say you could not find the outliner on your side, go over to Windows, and then Outliner. And let's just drag it and put it on there. See that? Wonderful. So, grab it in the outliner, and we're going to hold down the Control button, and we're going to get the pelvis. Okay, so that's the main FK of the whole model, which is the most important one to be connecting to. So let's go over to Workspace, and we're going to set that to rigging. Now we've got that, we're going to go over to skin and bind skin. If we go over to here, this little box, let's click on it really quickly. Set the max influences to 4. The reason we want to do this is because if you set it to 5 or 6 or 7 or 30, Sandbox will scream at you because we can only have up to 4 max influences. So that is cool. So now we've got that, let's just bind the skin. So now, go over to a joint and you go, oh no, it's broken. That's not very awesome, is it? Easy way to fix that is, even if it is fine, but it just looks a bit odd, what we can do is I want you to click on the Citizen Torso _ Lod 0. Okay, so you can do that in the outliner, or just click on the chest or the arms. And we're going to Control and click on the V-neck, Shift onto the V-neck low. It's important that you click the torso first and then click the V-neck, because this will set the hierarchy for copying over. We'll go to Skin, we'll go to Copy Skin Weights. We click on the little square there. We want to make sure it's set to closest bone on closest component. Or you can pick closest point on surfaces. And then copy skin. And now, oh my gosh, it's working. If we move that around, you can see obviously now it's lovely and beautiful. Very lovely. Yes, 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 yes. You might see some problems with the skinning where things are clipping through. Either the best option you can do is to inflate the model a bit more, or consider that when you're actually making the model. So making sure the skin is not too close to the clothing. Or you can, for future reference, go to skin and go to paint skin weights. Try the spine area here. So if we were to go in, just bring that out a bit, you can see that's now, it's no longer clipping. You see that? Nice. So again, we can see it here. Skin, paint skin weights. If we were to use the value black, just fill that in, you can now see that's, we see a bit here. It's a bit of a guessing game of knowing if it should be white or black. So here I'm just filling in that bit. I'd say the best bet is to put your model into extreme poses. For example, let's say we went with that, right? The hand is going outwards like that. You can see a lot of problems here now. So what we can do is go to skin, paint skin weights, go in here and paint those areas out. Usually you'll see most of the clipping problems in the arms. So what we're going to do is we're going to get in the outliner, click on the V-neck, Geo, holding down Control. We're going to grab pelvis and root IK. Okay? Go to File, Export. So we want to put it in the shirt area. So let's make a new folder and let's call that, just for this case, I'm going to call it tutorial. And I'm going to put models. So in here, now I know it's there, so let's copy this directory here, yep, put it in there, and we are going to call this, what should we call it? V-neck. So we have sandbox dev open. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to model editor. So now that that's open, let's just click Control S, and we want to save this in the directory that we just made. Let's go over to shirt and tutorial models, and we're going to call that V_neck. Okay. Now we have that, let's just compile that. What we're going to do now is right click in the outliner, add. We're going to type in mesh. We're going to add meshes. Okay. And now you'll see here, you have the V-neck. So let's open that up. Then click compile. We'll now see that's in the model dock. But you can see here, obviously the textures aren't here. So we're going to close that just for a second. So let's just save that, close it. And let's go over to Material Editor, okay? Do File, New, okay? We're going to Control S. We're going to save this in the same area as the shirt model. So Citizen Models, Citizen Clothing, Shirt, Tutorial, but we're going to make a new folder, call that Textures, okay? Let's get the textures. We're going to put V neck. Now we have that. That's now in. But you might notice you don't have the material textures. But let's just close that for a second as well. If we go back to Substance, what we're going to do now is export the textures. So let's go and find that same directory that we have made. So we want to go to, again, addons, Citizen, Models, Citizen Clothing, Shirt, Tutorial, Textures. Okay, so we're going to put it in here, okay? So let's go here. I'm going to put that into the export settings. We'll click Select Folder. For this, we're only going to need the base color, the roughness, the normal OpenGL, and mixed AO, okay? So let's give that an export. That's now exported, okay? One problem I'm seeing is that it's called Lambert 1, so let's give it good naming conventions, okay? So V-neck, V-neck color, V-neck AO, V-neck rough, and V-neck normal. Alright, so what's really important is also that we set the shader to the correct one. So type in complex. So we need complex as our shader. Okay, so now you go to the folder. You'll now, and we set that to all images. We'll see all the textures that we've put into that folder. So let's get color for color, normal for normal, roughness for roughness, and if you wanted metalness, we don't have metalness here, but what we can do is if we were to turn on specular and then metalness texture, then we'll be able to add the metalness in. But in this case, we don't have metalness, so we can leave that off. Okay, so that should be done. So let's give that a save, Control S. Now we can close that. Now if we go back to Model Editor, and we go to File, Recent Files, V-neck. We want to right click here, Add. We're going to type in Material. We want material, default material group. You'll see here. Obviously we don't want it to be called Lambert 3 for our map, so to fix that, when exporting it, set a material name for this. So if we were to go to Attributes, and we just right click, New Material, Lambert, but then we called it M_V-neck, let's say. V-necky. V-necky wacky. Don't call it that. Let's just call it V-neck. Oh, okay, let's call it MV-neck. Let's export that again. So export selection. And then we're going to go back, compile. You will now see the naming convention is a lot better. So open local browser, and we're going to type in V-neck. Obviously I've made a V-neck, but we are going to pick this one, the one that we've made.
The model is there.
Do you see that? All lovely and very lovely. And it will have the skeleton as well. Very awesome. So now, that's actually in the game. Pretty cool, right? So let's save that. So we're going to Control S, close. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the asset browser, and we're going to search for tutorial. Wait, no. V-neck, the V-neck we just made. So right click on it, and we're going to do dump thumbnail to PNG. We need this so then we can create the clothing document. So now we'll go to inspector, but if you can't see this or you don't have the asset browser, just click on this one here. And we're call it V and Necky Bingo Bungle. Yeah, cool. And the subtitle will be, "This is a very awesome tutorial." And category, we're going to set it to tops. So then when you can select it, it'll be in the tops menu. And then we go to model. We're going to look up V-neck. Okay, so this is the V-neck we made. So click on that. Now, material group, we don't need to do anything. Slots under, we don't need to say anything. Save that as V-neck. Okay. And then let's give that a save. We want to set that to slots over chest. So now we close this and we go to our menu. If you go over to the player model settings and then you go to tops, V-necky bingo bungo. Oh no! It's really important we do this. We want to set a scale and mirror. And we want to set the scale to 0.3937. And oh my god, it's a V-neck shirt. It's your V-neck shirt. I mean, it's mine, but it will be yours when you make it. See? It's done. It's yours. Save changes. We did it. We made a model together. Me and you. No one else. Look how cool we look in our little purple shirt. Alright, so I think we're done. Oh my god. We made a shirt, guys. Now you go and make a shirt. And we're done. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope this has been enjoyable and helpful. And I'm really excited about doing more tutorials in the future. This will be one of many to come, so look out for that. I'm hoping to maybe do more in-depth tutorials into stuff like UVing or retopology or integration, pretty much anything. So if you have any questions or anything you want to learn for the future, just put it in the comments or DM me on Discord. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Bye.